In northern China lies a vast expanse known as the Taklamakan Desert, a golden sea of sand stretching over 337,000 square kilometers, where wind and dust once swallowed every trace of life. But today, something impossible is happening. Green forests are slowly taking root amid that endless desert, spreading all the way to the horizon. Where sandstorms used to wipe out entire villages, life is coming back. The Chinese call this mission the Green Great Wall, an almost impossible ecological project and one of the largest restoration efforts on Earth. Hundreds of millions of trees have been planted, millions of hectares of land reclaimed from desertification. How did China manage to turn lifeless sand into land full of life? What secrets lie behind this billion-dollar project? Let's find out. For centuries, northern China has lived with an invisible enemy: sand. Massive dust storms from the Gobi and Taklamakan deserts blanketed Beijing's skies, turning day into night. By the 1990s, residents wore masks for more than 80 days just to avoid breathing the fine dust. The Taklamakan was formed millions of years ago when the Tian Shan and Kunlun mountains blocked nearly all moisture, turning the basin between them into a vast arid wasteland. Average rainfall is less than 100 millimeters per year, almost 10 times lower than California. Every square meter receives only about the same water as a 500 milliliter bottle per week. In summer, temperatures soar above 40 degrees Celsius. In winter, they drop below -20. This extreme climate, combined with deforestation, overgrazing, and excessive groundwater extraction, paved the way for uncontrolled desertification across northern China. Faced with this threat, China chose not to back down. In 1978, the government launched the 3 North Shelter Belt program, known as the Green Great Wall. This vast network of forests, windbreak belts, and ecological lakes stretches more than 4,500 kilometers from Xinjiang to Heilongjiang province, covering nearly the entire northern part of China. The goal? To plant 35 million hectares of new forest by 2050, increasing forest coverage from just 10% in 1949 to over 25% today. It is the largest human-made project ever built on land, not with concrete or steel, but with determination and the color green of life itself. So what exactly did the Chinese do? They began with a measured plan. Engineers surveyed the terrain using satellite mapping and drones to analyze dune movement and wind direction. Based on that data, they designed a massive grid system, straw checkerboards laid diagonally across the sand, each square about 20 by 20 feet. From above, the land looks like a gigantic checkerboard of golden squares. Millions of pounds of straw are transported hundreds of miles into the desert, where vehicles often sink into soft sand. Teams of workers dig shallow trenches and place bundles of straw into precise grid lines. Under the relentless sun, with temperatures rising above 49 degrees Celsius, thousands persist, because each grid is the foundation for life to return. The woven pattern stabilizes the dunes, slows the wind, and creates microzones where moisture can linger long enough for planting. Mechanical augers then drill small holes at the center of each square for drought-resistant species, such as saxaul, desert poplar, and red willow. The seedlings are positioned so their roots settle just below the surface, where the straw shields them from sun and shifting sand. Over time, the straw decomposes, turning into an organic blanket, rich in nutrients that feeds the developing root systems. What began as fragile seedlings evolves into a living network of vegetation that anchors the dunes. The second method is installing solar panels. China chose a bold solution: let the sun grow the forest. This region receives over 2,700 hours of sunlight each year, ranking among the world's highest. Along the Tarim Desert Highway, which stretches more than 436 kilometers, they installed 86 solar-powered pumping stations. Each station hosts hundreds of photovoltaic panels that pump groundwater from depths exceeding 100 meters. The water flows through underground pipelines via drip irrigation, enabling more than 200,000 trees to survive in an area with almost no rainfall. The Tarim Highway has become the world's first carbon-free desert expressway, where sunlight generates electricity, electricity produces water, and water sustains life. The solar fields are elevated 2 meters above ground, allowing plants to grow beneath in the cooler, shaded soil. Alongside the panels, thousands of heliostat mirrors rotate to follow the sun. Reflected light concentrates onto a central tower, heating molten salt to over 540 degrees Celsius. That heat produces high-pressure steam, driving turbines and generators. Excess heat is stored in molten salt tanks, allowing power generation at night. Building this 50-megawatt solar tower costs around $130 million. Beyond greening, China has turned desert edges into ecotourism destinations. Artificial forests, solar farms, and water reservoirs have been developed into science and tourism parks. Community-based tourism blends eco-lodging with Uyghur and Mongolian traditions. Camel riding tours lasting 2 to 5 hours cost between $40 and $120. To reach these areas, the Chinese built the Tarim Desert Highway, connecting the oasis cities of Luntai and Minfeng. It cuts through the desert for over 300 kilometers. Construction started in 1993 and finished in 1995 under extreme conditions: shifting dunes, sandstorms, and temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius. The project cost around 1.75 billion yuan, or roughly $260 million. Beneath the asphalt lies a foundation of gravel, straw mats, and geotextiles designed to keep sand from swallowing the road. After decades of effort, the results have exceeded expectations. Vast green belts now surround almost the entire Taklamakan. China has regreened more than 30 million hectares, increasing national forest coverage from 10% in 1949 to over 25% today. In regions like Aksu and Kashgar, vast forests now stretch to the horizon. Sandstorm frequency has dropped by 82% compared to the 1980s, while dusty days in Kashgar have fallen from around 100 to just 30 per year. The once dead lands now absorb more than 20,000 tons of CO2 annually. Once known as the Sea of Death, the desert has at last learned to breathe. But not everyone agrees this marks a lasting victory. As the numbers grow, so do the questions. Is this greenery truly sustainable, or just a temporary shade of green? Many ecologists warn that monoculture reforestation, planting mostly poplars and willows, leaves the ecosystem vulnerable. These trees grow fast but have short lifespans and rely heavily on groundwater. At one point, a disease outbreak wiped out more than 1 billion poplar trees, erasing years of progress. Several international studies suggest that in certain periods, desertification continued expanding despite increased forested area. The reason lies in planting trees unsuited to local conditions, rainfall too low to sustain growth, and prolonged irrigation that depletes groundwater. Experts argue that for the Green Great Wall to truly thrive, China must shift focus from the number of trees planted to the health of entire ecosystems, replacing single-species forests with mixed woodlands that include native trees, grasses, and shrubs. Only by restoring nature in its original balanced structure can humanity hope to resist the desert sustainably. The success of the Green Great Wall is undeniable, yet it comes with an important reminder. Not every green is life if its roots do not belong to the soil beneath it. From barren dunes to living landscapes powered by sunlight and science, this is how China is turning its deserts green. A miracle of nature or a triumph of human engineering? Perhaps it's both, and perhaps the story is still being written.